Welcome to Category 5 Technology TV. This is episode 512 for Wednesday, the 12th of July, 2017. Hexachords has done something incredible. They have created an artificial intelligence music composing system.
So cool.
It has a lot of potential, folks, for TV, broadcast, movies, and video games.
Yes.
We're going to be speaking with the CEO responsible for this technology in just a couple of moments' time. Make sure you stick around.
Here's what's coming up in the Category 5.tv newsroom. Jawbone is shutting down to pursue medical tech. The world's first glasses-free holographic phone is coming, and you'll never guess who's releasing it. There's now a self-driving transport truck that doesn't even have a spot for a human driver. Disappointed as Intel plans to cut jobs from its IoT division. A German computer company is spinning a new version of Ubuntu to include on their computers, and update your Linux distro immediately. The new PG crypto library has been cracked. Stick around, the full details are coming up later in the show.
This is Category 5 Technology TV.
Our live recordings are trusted only to solid-state drives by Kingston Technology. Revive your computer with improved performance and reliability over traditional hard drives with Kingston SSDs.
Category 5 TV streams live with Telestream Wirecast and Nimble Streamer. Tune in live every week on Roku, Kodi, and other HLS video players. For local showtimes, visit our website, category5.tv.
Category 5.tv is a member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. cat5.tv/TPN. And the International Association of Internet Broadcasters. cat5.tv/IAIB.
Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Robbie Ferguson.
I'm Sasha Dermatis.
And I'm Jeff Waston.
See how they just respond to the cues? Just like that. Just like that. Tonight we've got a fantastic show planned for you. Really excited about this. As a former music producer in my past life, used to do a lot of music. You remember the days.
I do, yes.
Boy, oh boy, and it was so onerous. It was so much work to just put together the score.
Yes.
Well, Hexachords has built a tool that uses artificial intelligence in order to compose music.
So cool.
Tonight, we have Richard Portelli. He's the CEO of Hexachords. Richard, nice to have you here. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks, my pleasure.
Can you tell us a little bit about how Hexachords got started? What really brought about this entire movement that you guys have been creating?
Yes, basically I started Hexachords on my own. It was like 5 years ago, and I had the idea when I was when I was studying physics and engineering at my school, and the main idea of Orb Composer is to design a tool for composers, which basically allow composers to create music a lot faster and to try new musical ideas very quickly. And then they can decide which ideas they want to explore further. And I had this idea because by listening a lot of music, I came to the conclusion that a lot of songs look very similar, and instead of spending time on what is like all the time the same, like all the time the same chord, etc., it's better to use the time on creativity.
Sure. Okay. So you think about how music is composed, and it always works out to be a chord structure where, you know, it's going to be G, D, C, G, D, C, and then maybe an E minor if we want to get really funky with it. So your artificial intelligence now takes that kind of knowledge and turns it into music. So it's called Orb Composer. And can you tell us a little bit about how it works? What's kind of the process that a composer would use in order to create a composition using your technology?
Yes, sure. Basically, Orb Composer, the composer needs to make a lot of musical choices to have a score in the end. And we try to design a kind of a high-level interface, where the composer can choose like chords, chord progressions, rhythms, momentums. He can choose all the instruments he wants. Let's say, for example, from bar 2, the flute will come, etc. All this stuff. I mean, the composer has access to all this stuff, and it's the start. The composition starts by making like very artistic choices, and before diving into the notes.
Okay, so now in the past we've looked at Audio Tool, we've looked at FL Studio Producer, and tools like that where we need to learn an interface like a piano roll, and we need to know basic chord structure so that we can basically play on a computer screen the notes that we want to hear, and then we've got to create. Okay, we want a timpan swell, we want an oboe to come in at this point. Now we have to kind of put those in as dots. So how does, thinking of that, it's a very difficult and very time-consuming process. How does Orb Composer compare to that process? When I sit down and say, okay, I've got my cup of coffee, I'm ready to start composing music, what's the process feel like for me?
Yes, and it's exactly the point of Orb Composer. Basically, you start from ideas, and it creates notes. And for example, it's like clothes. When you want to try a new shirt, basically you need all the other like pants and shoes to have an idea exactly how it would sound. You cannot just like to explore a musical idea is very time consuming. And basically what Orb Composer allows to do is like from simple choices and artistic choices to have like a solid base to start with. It's not like the final score will not be composed 100% with Orb Composer, but you start with a very solid base, which saves you a lot of time for the rest.
So do I need to have musical capabilities and knowledge in order to use Orb Composer?
Yes, it's definitely designed for music composers.
I see. Okay, that's good. So we're looking at not something that would replace the composer, but something that would assist the composer with creativity, with artistic freedom, and it's like writing a story. You sit down day after day and compose music, and you get writer's block, and that is, when you've got 8 songs for a CD and you're trying to get the 10th and the 9th, that's the difficult thing to get through. Is the music creation, so this creates the base for our songs, is it random? Is there, is it what I would come up with? What's kind of the creativity behind that aspect?
Yeah, well, it's random, but of course it's based on the choices of the composer. Can
you tell me when you say choices, are we talking, I have chosen to compose a song in the key of E, and I want these instruments, I want this genre. Are those the kind of choices that I make, or am I actually keying in certain notes and things like that?
Well, actually, there are like 2 levels of randomness. The first random part comes from the choices. When I mean choices, I mean like, for example, like chords. Just chords. Like if you take the mathematical number of different chords, it's huge. And when you talk about chord progressions, like momentums, like the instrument, let's say, okay, the flute, which come at bar 2. This is like a choice which certainly will be unique. So all this is the first randomness. But the second randomness comes from the technology itself, which basically means that even if you have exactly the same constraints and you make exactly the same choices, you will still have in the end different notes. Okay.
So you're just going to come up with new, so I can put in the same key structure, the same chord structure, and I'm going to get brand new music. So what kind of genres does Orb Composer do well?
Well, basically, Orb Composer is mostly focused on orchestral music, but we want to, it's possible to create any genre, but we'll not have like genre presets, but the user will be able, for example, to choose like orchestral instruments or with like electric guitars, anything basically, because we also want Orb Composer to be used, for example, to create new music styles.
Wow, that's cool. And you think that everything has been done before, but truly, we start to hear. I noticed it when dubstep became a thing.
Yes.
It's like, how did someone invent a genre when everything feels like it's been done before? So we think that Orb Composer is going to be able to achieve this. That's an exciting, bar to set for yourself, for sure. So understanding then, Richard, that we do require some musical experience and capabilities in order to use Orb Composer. So it's not taking over the job of the composer by any stretch. Is this something that composers need to fear, in the sense that studios are going to be able to use less experienced composers in order to create their music?
Well, I think with the approach we have, I think basically we are supporting composers, and I think tools which we don't like and are really like automated tools, like create the music in 2 seconds and all the stuff like this, and it's definitely not the direction we wanted to take. And we believe that with our tool, composers will compose much better music than just like automated tools. Where you just select like a genre and a duration, for example.
Right. Yeah, I remember my old Mad player that was, you just push play and it would just start randomizing a beat and everything else, and it was cool, but it did have that kind of random feel to it, as opposed to something that really has some thought put into it. With Orb Composer, then, is it a time-consuming process? I think about AI as being a fully automated process, but then learning that we do need to actually do some interaction with the AI in order to bring out the composition. What could we look at as far as time goes for composing a track with Orb Composer?
Well, the time is, the time to compose a song is like, it's instant. But of course, the time depends on the time the composer spends to make the choices. Okay,
so it instantly spews out a song and says, "Here you go."
Yeah.
And now,
yes, exactly.
And now what happens? Do I then say, "Okay, well, I don't like how this happened. I want to change the flute part"?
Yes, exactly. You can say, "Okay, I don't want like the bassoon here. I want to change this by, I don't know, like a bass trombone. I don't know." And then you say, "Okay, this motif, I don't like it, so I will just change this part, etc." And then when you make all the choices and you have really something accurate that you like, you can, for example, finish the composition in your DAW and add all the effects you want, etc. But yeah, that's basically how it works.
That's fantastic. We're speaking with Richard Portelli. He's the CEO of Hexachords. They've developed an artificial intelligence software called Orb Composer, and it actually creates musical scores for composers, inspiring creativity and helping them to be able to find that inspiration. Richard, I'm, as a former music producer using FL Studio and things like that, back in the days of Fruity Loops, that's as far back as I go. Do we have support for third-party instrument libraries, say VSTIs, sound fonts, DirectX plugins? Is there support for those kinds of things so that I don't lose my investment? I've got Adderall Orchestral. I love it. Can I plug it into your Orb Composer?
Yeah, of course you can, and I would say that you have to. You have to, because Orb Composer doesn't come with like any sound itself. It's basically connected via MIDI devices to your DAW, so you can load, you can use all your samples, and that's also something we wanted to achieve, because people they spend a lot of money by buying and purchasing samples, so they can use all the samples they bought. And that's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, that's astonishing. Like I mentioned Adderall. I have the orchestral plugin. I absolutely love it. I've done grand piano scores on it and everything. I'd hate to lose that plugin.
Now, I'm just wondering, does it also have the ability to integrate into like a soundboard, or is it purely computer-based as far as channels and whatnot?
Yeah, it's purely computer-based.
Okay.
So would it support, let's say I have a DAW already that has outputs to a console with multiple inputs, so a pre-set up studio configuration. Is it going to be compatible with that? I think that's kind of the question that we're looking. Can I work with an existing DAW?
Yes, you can.
Wow. Okay, so in that case, then we would be able to utilize that. Is it a standalone application, or are we looking at needing to have something like FL Studio to power it?
Well, it's a standalone application, but you need to connect it to a DAW. But yeah, it's a standalone application, but you need like a DAW. So it's like, but it's not a plugin. It's not a VST. It's like a standalone application, but you need a DAW to use it with all the features.
So as it's not a plugin, now we don't need to get into the technical aspects, but as it's not a plugin, I'm not getting the relationship to the DAW or DAW. Does this export to a certain file format that I then import into my existing hardware or something?
Yes, I mean it could work without DAW. You could export. You could export the MIDI files, but I think it would be like useless because you would not have like any playback on the choices you make, and so
right.
Yeah, it's definitely you can't hear before, so you need to export to load into the DAW to listen, etc. So it will be like quite a difficult process, I think.
You mentioned something there that really stands out to me. You mentioned exporting to MIDI files, which means I'm going to be able to import that into any application that I work with MIDI files. Right. I can change the instrumentation. I can also create sheet music from my MIDI files, things like that. So it just opens it up, just blows that right out of the water, doesn't it? So who owns the music that I create with your software? Do I have to worry about royalties if I use the music online?
No, not at all. I mean, the music created belongs to the composer.
Entirety?
Yeah, entirely. Because basically, if there are no like royalties, anything, for example, I mean, there is no right on the music itself. If it's created from A to Z by a computer. But in this case, it's a tool to assist the composer. So the composer, of course, is, the music created definitely belongs to the composer.
First of all, and just to say, kudos for making that decision to take that approach, because there are two approaches that you could have taken here. You could have said, okay, we own the rights to this music, and you need to pay for the rights to use it. Or you can say, this is, in all essences, an instrument, and you're playing the instrument, and it's you, and you're creating the music, and so it's yours. So now I can use this music, as Richard is telling us here, I can use this in any of my projects. I suppose I can sell it. I can sell the music,
of course.
Right?
Yes, of course.
So is it okay for me to generate music using the artificial intelligence and then sell it as like stock audio?
Yes, it's possible. I think we will try to limit that, because it's not the idea like of making like millions of tracks and selling them. So we'll definitely find a way to limit this. But yeah, I mean, on the paper it's possible. But it's definitely not the idea.
I understand. You can see where I'm kind of going with it, where this is a potential abuse of the artificial intelligence, but at the same time could be a really interesting business model for somebody if they want to take the time and do a really good job of it. Not that that's what we're promoting, but understanding that that's possible. I love that I own the rights to it. That's fantastic. Are the files themselves proprietary? Can I are these WAV files that it's exporting to? How do
I mean, the WAV files are exported by the DAW. So yeah, I mean.
So the MIDI aspect, the actual instrumentation, the synthesis happens in the DAW.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Definitely.
Okay.
With your samples, yeah.
Perfect.
Now, regarding the AI, does it learn your style, the type of music that you like to make, and then start developing upon that? Or is the AI strictly per song based on the input that you put forward? Like, does it continue to learn from your style?
Well, I mean, there are two parts of the AI. There is one part which is learning it's based on machine learning, that we use it mostly for music styles. But I mean, the real engine Orb is not based on learning. It's based really on the very accurate rules we gave it. And because of this, it's very light, it's instant. Because if it was like completely machine learning based, it would not be instant. And you also you have the full control of what's happening inside the box, because machine learning is like a black box. You give inputs, you have an output, but you don't have the control on what's happening between. And basically with Orb Composer you have completely access to everything, to all the musical low level parameters. And for example, if you just want to adjust one setting, you can do it, which would not be possible with machine learning.
Okay. Now we have a question from the chat room that's do USB synthesizers work with your software?
I suppose if they're MIDI compatible, would that be?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can. Yes, you can. If you connect to your DAW and you have like a synthesizer, yeah, it will work, of course.
Okay, very cool.
So you can use all your analog stuff and.
Yeah. So again, if you've already got kit, you've got plugins, you got all this stuff already set up. This is just going to accent that.
Absolutely.
Which is not honestly, Richard, not exactly what I was expecting. I was expecting this to be its own standalone thing, and this impresses me, excites me. We're talking about Orb Composer. It's an artificial intelligence product that has been created by Hexachords, and it helps composers to create music. What are some of the exciting ways that you're seeing this already being used? Now, I know it's not publicly available, but there has been some use within television, I believe.
Yeah, actually, there was no use of Orb Composer. There was a use of Orb. I mean, Orb is the core technology. And before designing Orb Composer, so with all the graphical interface and so on, we just released some music created with Orb by itself. So it's really like it's a different approach now that we have Orb Composer. But basically, the music we released before was completely done by the AI from A to Z. And because of that, we didn't release like too many music because we don't think it's too interesting. However, like to make like kind of a proof of concept and to see how people react to something created really from A to Z by a technology, it was nice, yeah, to propose. I mean, to put the music created with Orb itself with another music created with real composers, and to see if some people will say, okay, no, for this we can't use this music. For some reason, I don't like this music. Okay. And that was not the case because, yes, as you mentioned, it was used in a documentary, a professional documentary on French TV.
Fantastic.
And yeah, and nobody knows that it was created only by our technology.
So you've taken this song that was created by your tech, put it on to some kind of forum or system that allows people. It's
not a forum. It's basically like what are called like sound libraries. So basically, it's a company called Telemusique. It's a French company. Basically, they have a bunch of composers who compose music for TV, and so he has to choose for documentary. He has to choose the music, and so he did like a little mix of like a little bit of that genre, a little bit of that genre, and he proposed this music, saying that okay, it was composed by a composer, which was not the case, but just to see the reaction, and eventually it was chosen for an extract. Yes.
And so, did they later find out that it was actually created by an artificial intelligence?
To be fair, I'm not sure.
So they're using this music in their documentary. They don't even know, potentially. We're talking about it here.
That's amazing.
And, I don't think they know it, to be fair.
That is astonishing. And just to think that it's that good. We've had some music underlying the interview at times here, all created by the Orb artificial intelligence. Now, you mentioned a differentiation that I wasn't aware of between Orb and the Orb Composer. So Orb is, I guess, like a framework kind of back-end artificial intelligence engine. Is that the idea?
Yes, exactly. I mean, yes, Orb is really the core engine, and it can work by itself, saying, okay, it's possible to say, okay, I want like a 2-minute song, orchestra, epic, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's possible, but we don't want to use it that way.
You don't want to. Can I write a script that will use it, though? Is that possible? Is it an API or a command line argument or something?
Well, it would be possible, but we will not provide it.
Okay. I gotcha. All right. That's proprietary, we'll say. Speaking of proprietary, what kind of OS support are we looking at? Is this like a Windows-only kind of thing?
Well, it's Windows and Mac.
Windows and Mac. Any plans for Linux support at all?
For Linux, you mean?
Yes. Any plans to port over to Linux?
Well, it will be complicated because, like, I mean, the core, it doesn't change anything to the core code, but it's more like the use of the AW and like plugins, which are quite rare on Linux.
Yeah, I hear you. So we're probably going to be on Windows or Mac anyways in the studio. So makes sense for sure. Any other system requirements that we should be aware of before we wrap up?
No, I mean the only restricting part is maybe the memory, because you need to have the memory that you need for your own samples. So which is usually the case because you already own the samples.
Sure.
But yes, I mean it's kind of memory intensive, of course. When you load like a bunch of orchestral stuff, it can be it can be heavy. Yeah.
Hopefully
but so like it's not system. CPU intensive at all. So I mean the only requirement is to be able to load the sound libraries.
Okay. Jeff, you got one more?
Yeah, I've got one more question. Just as I've been listening to you and you know, you're talking about the software. I mean, I haven't played with the software, so I don't know all.
Oh, I want to.
all the selections that come with it. But do you have the ability to set an emotional feel to the music? And is that incorporated? Like, if you want something that invokes anger within the composition, can you set the software to do that, or do you use that through your individual selections?
Well, we could do that, but we don't want to. The same reason as basically we want people to be able to create some moods, and we don't want to have like we want people to try new things. And basically, for example, if you want to be like to have like an angry mood, the composer knows what to do, and all the parameters he has to choose to have this effect.
Right.
So it's really like a low level kind of software.
Okay.
And it's not like you select a genre with a duration, all that stuff, to be very clear. And yes, it's how we want it to be used.
Sure. And we're working entirely from the screenshots that we've shown here. We're working entirely from trying to understand, get our head around something that's brand new. Yeah. Artificial intelligence creating music. That's what we're talking about with Orb Composer. So for us to get out, you've been playing with this thing for 5 years, man. So to be fair, like, you know your way around this thing. I want to play with it. When can I install this on my computer?
So basically, we plan to do like a beta version, which will be, I think, available like in October. And for a final release in January.
Wonderful. So we're looking at like just a few months.
Yeah.
Yeah, six months until the release, yes.
Fantastic.
It's like an early Christmas present.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
Richard, we appreciate your time so very much tonight. We're very, very excited about your product. We love what you're doing with Hexachords and with Orb in particular. This is really, really cool stuff. And the compositions that you've sent us so far are awesome. Like, it's just
thank you very much.
Hard to believe that this is automated and artificial intelligence. Where's it going to go next? This is just kind of the start of something cool. What's next for your company? Where are you pitching this? What is going on?
Well, we have a very big project that we would like to. It's a little bit early to share it, but basically the idea would be to integrate the technology inside video games, which would mean that the music would be created inside the game.
Oh my gosh!
And not outside the game. So yes, it's just a little thing. We did some proof of concept of it, but it's a little bit early to tell you more about it.
First of all, he starts by saying, we've got this big thing, but we're not allowed to tell you about it. But we'll tell you this.
That is...
In-game, you mentioned that you were going to be doing gaming audio, but this is huge. So
that is huge.
If I'm coming up to a frightening scene within the game, I'd imagine that Orb is going to know... And I know you're not allowed to talk about it.
Or if you, like me, have died like 500 times trying to fight a boss, the music is going to change.
Wow. That's awesome, man. Yeah. Way to get us excited. Way to get us excited. That's cool. So do you folks get your head around that? So imagine it creates the music on the fly during the game. It can be influenced by the gameplay. I'm imagining how the API is going to function.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it would work. And the very interesting part as well is that the composer would have a major influence on, because he would not need to compose final scores, but to design all the universe, all the musical universe. For example, saying, okay, for this forest, I will give it will be played by clarinets and with some arpeggios, and to choose all the parameters. But then it will be live, real time. So it's very interesting. Yes.
When I enter here, this is a scary scene. We've got some pizzicatos.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No,
exactly. But not the notes. But just like all the parameters, a little bit like in Orb Composer.
It's as if it becomes part of the level creation process. So we say, okay, this building is going to have this style of music. Now let Orb do the rest.
Yes, exactly. And so it will basically put the composer kind of at the center of all the gameplay.
Wow.
I think I've had a stupid, grin, gaping mouth for the last, 90 seconds. This is incredible.
Thousands of people right now have that same expression, Jeff. Richard,
Thank you.
I want to challenge you to please keep in touch with us. Let us know. We want to let our community know about the progress of your product and how it's being utilized by various industries. And we wish you all the best. Thank you so much for...
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.
Thanks. Take care.
What's the chat room say?
I like it.
This one is 100% composed by AI. This is Category 5 Technology TV, and you'll find our website at category5.tv. Sasha, we've got to head over to the newsroom, so if you're all set...
I'm ready to rock.
What do you have for us today?
Here are the stories we're covering this week in the Category5.tv newsroom. Jawbone is shutting down to pursue medical tech. The world's first glasses-free holographic phone is coming, and you'll never guess who's releasing it. There's now a self-driving transport truck that doesn't even have a spot for a human driver. Disappointment as Intel plans to cut jobs from its IoT division. A German computer company is spinning a new version of Ubuntu to include on their computers, and update your Linux distro immediately. The new PG crypto library has been cracked. These stories are coming right up. Don't go anywhere.
Jeff Weston.
Yeah, man.
You're building a brand new, beautiful website.
What?
Aren't you?
No. Am I?
Oh, you're a terrible actor.
What?
This is where acting comes into play.
Oh, I didn't know we were acting.
You're supposed to act.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
I'm building a really cool website. Are you building a really cool website? You need hosting. One of the things about a hosting account is you don't want to have limitations put on your website.
It's true.
How much hard drive space do you have? How many email accounts? How many domains can point to it? Well, we've got an amazing deal for you. For a very limited time, cat5.tv/dreamhost, for just $5 and a bit of change per month, you are going to get unlimited website hosting, unlimited email accounts on that hosting service. You are also going to receive a free domain name.
Ooh.
So your own .com.
Nice.
To put that amazing website that you've been working on
true.
there. If you want to build a WordPress site, fine. Sign up, cat5.tv/dreamhost.
Just don't put Panama Papers on it.
Just don't do it. But hey, it's a great deal, folks. Best deal you're going to find. $5 and change per month. Go to cat5.tv/dreamhost.
I'm Sasha Dermatis, and here are the top stories for the week of July 12th, 2017. In May of last year, speaker and fitness tracker company Jawbone ended production of its fitness trackers and started seeking a buyer for its speaker business, leading to speculation that the company was going out of business. Jawbone denied claims that it was shutting down and planned to pivot to medical products for direct sale to clinical practitioners, but that may not have panned out, as the information reports that the business is officially shutting down. Jawbone has reportedly started liquidation proceedings and notices have been sent out to its creditors. Jawbone co-founder and CEO Hossein Rahman has moved on to a new company called Jawbone Health Hub that is designed to make health-related hardware and software services. Many existing Jawbone employees have already transitioned to the new company. Jawbone Health will reportedly service existing Jawbone products, which may allow existing Jawbone customers to get help with their devices. Jawbone has been ignoring customer service requests for several months, making customers unhappy. Starting in January, Jawbone customers were unable to contact Jawbone support, and it did not receive responses to service requests for faulty products. That's unfortunate, especially because I thought about Jawbone when I like it. I liked it.
That makes me a little sad in that they were one of our early partners on the show. Jawbone was, one of our first big sponsors, and we loved working with them. So, so I'm sorry to see them go. And
although if they're going into a medical field, who knows what will develop from there?
But I don't know that they would liquidate their company if they were planning to continue supporting it. Really.
Wait, but didn't you say that they were looking to use existing products?
They're liquidating the company.
Yeah, they're liquidating.
Right.
So
okay. Maybe I misheard you.
So, I mean, you can buy something and it just won't be supported. Like,
right.
I love their Bluetooth headsets, but...
Oh, they were the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing that I thought was interesting is their name is Jawbone and they're going to health. It almost sounds like this should be a dental company.
Yeah, that's right.
It stems from their original headsets.
That's right, with a little...
Rather than a standard microphone, which picks up all the noise around you when you're biking or doing
right,
whatever else,
exactly.
It came in contact with your jawbone and would sense the vibrations. So as you're talking, it gets rid of all the background noise.
And I came this close after I bought a Bluetooth headset for biking, and my sister couldn't hear me. She said all I can hear is wind.
Because it's a microphone version.
Because it's a microphone.
Yeah.
And then you had said, well, what about a jawbone? And I came very close to being, okay, fine, a jawbone, I'll buy one. Aww. And now this story.
Yeah.
So
we can still buy one. It'll still work.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just, if it breaks, you can't replace it.
I have two at home.
There's no warranty or whatever, right?
Right.
Yeah.
True. Red, the company that makes professional digital cameras for shooting Hollywood movies, is making a holographic phone called the Hydrogen. The company is touting the Hydrogen is the world's first holographic media machine and says it doesn't require glasses to see the supposed holograms. The 5.7-inch phone runs Android, and pre-orders are available in 2 tiers. It costs $1,595 for the titanium high-end version and $1,195 for the aluminum slightly lower end version. The phone is planned to ship in the first quarter of 2018. According to Red's announcement, the Hydrogen has a professional hydrogen holographic display which seamlessly switches between traditional 2D content, 3D content, and interactive games. The screen is, according to the company, capable of displaying holographic red hydrogen 4-view content, H4V, stereo 3D content, and 2D 3D VR, AR, which is augmented reality, and MR, which is mixed reality. High quality audio is another feature to drool over, with a special algorithm that can reportedly convert stereo sound into 5.1 surround sound. Like the company's modular cinema cameras, the Hydrogen is all about attaching accessories. You can attach camera extras like future attachments for shooting higher quality motion and still images, as well as Hydrogen format holographic images. The caveat: these accessories won't ship at launch. Additionally, the Hydrogen can be connected to the company's Scarlett, Epic, and Weapon cameras as separate control input and camera monitor. And that's basically it. We have no idea what processor it has or how much storage or RAM or anything else about the camera. The teaser image clearly shows a headphone jack, USB-C port, and a rather big and serious-looking camera protruding out of the backside. Red's website says it'll have a micro SD card slot. So holographic...
that is nuts.
That is the best.
I hate that I take so many pictures with my phone. And now Red comes out with a camera phone that does holograms.
Imagine how much data that's going to take up.
Oh yeah, it's got to have massive storage. But you consider Red is like the company that all the big movie makers use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like these are high end cameras. You're talking base model, $30,000, like nuts.
Really, that's not actually, even though that the price point seems a little bit steep, it's actually not that much money to have a holographic phone camera.
Right.
That's
And it's
it.
bleeding edge and new tech.
Yeah.
So
if it
you
happened
had the
before
money,
September
absolutely.
9th, then people could just watch me in real life get married.
there you go.
Right? I'd just be a hologram.
You just have to get one in time so that they can.
Now, what I like about the photo, and I mean, I don't know if you can throw it back
Yeah,
up
sure.
on the screen.
There you go.
That body looks rugged.
It looks slick
yeah.
too.
Like, you know, and just
You said it was titanium.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
it's called
like-
titanium.
Oh, okay.
That's right. It's just a really shiny plastic. But, you know, like it looks like a solid phone. And I don't know, maybe that's just designed to make it look cool. But
It does. It
but I mean,
works.
even you can see the hexagon screws in there for the body. It's like, man, this thing is just going to withstand everything.
That's a conversation starter. If you walked around with that phone in your hand, you would be the man.
The boss. You're driving a Hummer.
Probably. All right.
You know what's going to be interesting about this, though?
They keep doing this to me.
I know. I'm sorry. It's because I keep having thoughts. This is going to now change the way that we do social media as well.
Sure.
Because you're going to have, like, say, for instance, Facebook. You're going to want to upload holographic images to Facebook. How is this going to factor in? Like, this is going to take the tech industry and social media and everything to a whole new level. Because it's going to force change. And what rolls out because of this?
You'll never miss a major life event ever again, and pictures of people's meals will be incredible.
Oh my!
Chicken
As if you went,
floating above their phone.
you went to
Nice.
that. Wow.
Most experts believe the first industry to be upended by autonomous driving will be the trucking sector. What better use case for driverless technology than long-haul trucking, where most of the driving is confined to the highway? The Swedish startup Enride certainly buys into this vision. It recently unveiled a prototype of a self-driving truck that completely lacks a steering wheel, pedals, a windshield, and, well, the whole cab, really. The all-electric T-Pod is much shorter than your average traditional tractor-trailer, clocking in at just 23 feet long, which is likely due to the absence of the cabin. Einride says that the T-Pod will weigh 20 tons at full load, which is comparable to a Class 8 truck. The company says that the T-Pod can be controlled remotely by a human operator or can operate autonomously without human intervention. Einride says that it aims to deliver a complete transport system between Gothenburg to Helsingborg by 2020. This transport system will involve 200 T-Pods with associated charging stations on the route. The system's first route will have a capacity of up to 2 million pallets per year. The full-scale prototype was on hand last week at a week-long Swedish political event which took place on the island of Gotland. That is really great for everyone, except for perhaps long-haul truckers. But I will say, working in the chiropractic industry, they really suffer because of their jobs.
Oh, sure.
So if they could find a healthier profession and somebody else can do that back-breaking, literally, job, that would be perfect.
See, and I'm thinking of, you know, if they roll this out into other countries, like take, for instance, the issues that we're starting to hear about with, you know, the sensors where it's, you know, maybe not able to pick up light or something, or you've got animals on the road. How is this going to affect insurance liability if, as a trucker, what happens if your truck goes off the road and all of that product is lost? Where does that play into it? You know, there's things that definitely come with it, but very, very interesting.
Very neat, eh?
I could see a fleet of this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, and then where does it end? Like, trains would be next, I guess, and
Yeah.
like it just makes sense because you think about it, like a long haul driver is really driving in a straight line for hours and hours at the same speed in a lot of cases, unless you hit traffic. But
Away
really,
from family and yeah.
but you're just driving.
yeah,
it's
you
not
might as well.
it's not like you're in and out of traffic. No, you're pretty much just
do it.
driving in a straight line.
Can you imagine
Right? Am I
somebody
right?
at the border control, you know, between countries, and truck rolls up, and I need to see your papers, please.
They'd have it all taken.
They probably have to scan a barcode and the papers upload or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it makes me wonder if it's to be, only local shipping within a confined country, unless you've got open borders like you would have in the EU.
Right.
So,
We'll have to see. Interesting indeed.
Intel is shedding nearly 140 staff from its Internet of Things business lines. The layoffs were probably inevitable since during June, Intel discontinued 3 of its IoT product lines, the Joule, Edison, and Galileo compute modules and boards. Those 3 boards were once the flagships for Chipzilla's pitch to the wearable and maker markets. The Silicon Valley Business Journal says 100 of the layoffs will be in Santa Clara. Another 40 staff will be cut in the company's office in Leixlip, Ireland. The IoT division turned in $721 million US in the first quarter revenue this year, up to 11% year on year, but overall that's less than 5% of Intel's sales. Intel employs roughly 106,000 worldwide. So it's interesting to hear of tech jobs like Internet of Things. You think that's huge, you think that's big, right? And then now they're cutting jobs.
Yeah, I don't know what the reasoning behind it is, but it's certainly, if it's such a small portion of your business, maybe you're in the wrong, focusing assets and things into the wrong place.
right, but see, when I hear the story, I'm wondering, okay, what's the undercurrent? Because it was 100 and some odd jobs, you said?
Yeah.
140 jobs, but their revenue is up 11% year over year. So the revenue's going up, they're getting rid of jobs. So that tells me that it's some sort of amalgamation either of roles or an updated technology that has made some jobs obsolete. That would be my guess.
Robots?
It could be robots. They've laid off Sasha's grandma from making food in the kitchen. Now they got the kitchen robot.
Never going to hear the
It
end
was
of
a
this,
legacy thing. My grandmother is not alive, but wouldn't it be great if before she died, she was able to save her recipes?
I feel like I've heard this before.
Okay,
You have.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, it's just when you go through the story, that's what it sounds like to me. Is this is amalgamation in order
Yes.
to save profits? I mean, not minimizing. It's 140 people. It's not like laying off 50% of the company to save cost measures.
Right.
This sounds like, hey, we've made some improvements. So, which would make investors happy.
That's true.
I suppose so.
Tuxedo, a German computer company selling a range of Linux laptops, has announced it is launching its own Ubuntu-based Linux distro. We've done our best with Google Translate, and in their announcement they say, "We have been working on this project for several months. We have been thinking about the usability of the desktop, have included user feedback in our considerations, and made some surveys on desktop usage." The computer outfit plans to ship an in-house Xubuntu spin pre-installed on its devices. That spin is called, somewhat confusingly, Tuxedo Xubuntu Tuxedo Xubuntu 16.04 LTS. They say, "What we have done is deliver a desktop that is strongly adapted to the needs of our users, with our own theme, own icons, own boot logo, and the latest firmware, the latest NVIDIA drivers if necessary, and Linux kernel 4.11 pre-installed."
Wow.
Yeah, not to mention our configuration adjustments on Grub and optimizations to other system relevant files. This modified image is said to deliver a much lower memory usage, lower even than Ubuntu Mate, and improved battery life. Hard to imagine, but the company tested its Infinity Book Pro 13 with Linux Mint 18.1, which gave a battery life of 6 hours, and its Ubuntu fork, which saw the Ultrabook last almost twice as long, clocking up nearly 12 hours.
That's unreal.
That is crazy.
I just want to say this is one of the things that I love about Linux. Now, Tuxedo aside, because some people will say, they're using Ubuntu and they're making changes and they're making claims, and that's always the case whenever anyone does a spin, right? But fact is, they can take the operating system, spin it to their own branding, do changes to it, improve it. For those who aren't aware of what Sasha's saying there, this is pretty bleeding edge. Like, they've got the brand new cutting edge kernel in there. Like,
yeah.
And so, you know, it's pretty up to date as far as that goes. But I love that Linux and Linux users can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Take it, make it their own, and then customize it and distribute it and share it. And really, all they're doing is improving exposure to desktop Linux.
Yes.
It is true.
Which, that's a win.
So good on them. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Now, Linux users need to check out their distributions to see if a nasty bug in libgcrypt 20 has been patched. The software fix, which has landed in Debian and Ubuntu, addresses a side channel attack published last week. The researchers published their work at the International Association for Cryptologic Research's ePrint archive last week. What they found is that the libgcrypt library uses what's called sliding windows, a method for carrying out the mathematics of cryptography, but one that's known to leak data. The researchers looked at the left-to-right sliding window calculation in libgcrypt, in which the sliding window data leak was tolerated because it was believed only part of the key was recoverable. What they found was an unpleasant surprise, a complete break in the library's RSA 1024. They say, we show for the first time that the direction of the encoding matters. The pattern of squarings and multiplications in left-to-right sliding windows leak significantly more information about the exponent than right to left. The fix can be added to either Debian or Ubuntu, as well as potentially other distros, by running an upgrade on the libgcrypt 20 package. So make sure that you do that.
You know what? Just to be safe, apt update and then apt upgrade, and just, you know, for good measure, apt dist-upgrade. That'll update all your packages and everything, and that way you know you're safe, because you don't want to have something like a cryptography exploit running wild in your system. For sure.
Thanks for watching the Category5.tv newsroom. Don't forget to like and subscribe for all your tech news with a slight Linux bias, and for more free content, be sure to check out our website. From the Category5.tv newsroom, I'm Sasha Dermadas.
Thanks, Sasha. This is Category 5 Technology TV. Welcome to the show. So nice to have you here. We've been having a lot of fun tonight. Lots of exciting stuff. Speaking with our friend Richard and everything else that's been going on, but we do have a ton of questions that have come in. So, you know, we don't always get as much time as I'd love to have to just address your questions. I think it's probably time that we do like a viewer question extravaganza.
I love those episodes.
I think it's time. So we're going to find a week coming up where we can just commit the entire hour to you, to your questions. And so, you know, if you've got questions that have been on the edge of your fingers, get onto email, send us an email live at category5.tv, or join us on our forum. It's simply forum.category5.tv, and you can post there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have anything for me today?
I do. I have a question from Mickey.
Hey, Mickey.
Mickey asks, I have an old IBM R32 laptop, 2 gigahertz 32-bit processor with a 1 gigabyte of RAM. If I put Debian 9 Stretch on it, will I be able to watch Netflix or Hulu on it? I really miss sitting on my patio having a cigar and watching programs online.
I'll say.
That sounds nice.
Well then, yeah, Debian 9. Okay, we talked about it on episode 510 when we talked about Debian. Was it 510? I can't recall the number. Forget the numbers. Just look for Debian on our website. When we introduced Debian Stretch, it is, at its essence, a distro that uses free open source firmware's drivers out of the box. We can enable the ability to do otherwise, as we discussed on that show. But we didn't touch on this, so I appreciate the question. I've got Debian 9 from that, from that show, and it's pretty vanilla. I haven't really done anything with it. So we're just going to bring up Firefox, and I'm going to give it a go for you. So I'm going to head over to Netflix.
Oh, Netflix.
Oh, Netflix.
I love Netflix.
I didn't tell you, but I was watching Black Mirror again.
Oh, good.
And we're not binge watchers. Like, we don't do that. Although we found the closest thing we've ever done to binging, we found, oh, come on. It's on the tip of my tongue. Legion. I'd never seen a superhero show that we actually liked. Like, we wanted to like The Flash.
Right.
We wanted to, but it was just so... I just won't go there.
I will tell you, we binge watched Bates Motel.
Yeah.
And then we bought all of the old Psycho movies because it's based on
Netflix?
Right.
Oh, you bought...
So we bought
I
on
see.
Netflix, we watched the Bates Motel, right?
Okay.
Then we bought the Psycho movies because I had never seen them because y'all know
Right.
I'm kind of uncultured and things like this.
Right.
Have you seen those movies?
Never even heard of... Oh, Psycho?
Psycho?
No. We're not into the horror genre.
Yeah, well...
Never have been, but...
I'm not either, it turns
Yeah.
out, but I'm going to watch them. I'm going to muscle through it. But
Okay. All right.
That... yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I mentioned that we watched Dark Mirror the other
Yes.
night, and we're not binge watchers, but Legion was good.
Yeah.
Legion was very, very good for that kind of superhero movie show, but that's beside the point. On Dark Matter... No,
Black Mirror.
Black Mirror. I get those two confused all the time. Black Mirror. The episode was reminded me exactly of your news story from like 2 years ago. I don't know if you remember this, but they used artificial intelligence to bring back the dead.
Yes. I know what you're talking about, and I know the news story
You
you're
remember
talking
the
about.
news story?
Yes.
Because I was
like
sitting
legacy
there and I was like,
Facebook.
this is real. This
Yeah.
Sasha talked about this.
Yes.
And they made a show about it. So they took the idea, the concept of this artificial
You're
intelligence that takes all your social media, Facebook, Twitter, everything, compiles it all into an AI, and then turns it into a chatbot.
It's actually a
That's
really
creepy.
good episode.
It was a very good episode.
You
That's creepy.
Black Mirror people.
It's
You ought to-
it's hard for me to recommend Black Mirror because
It's
there
not
are some that
appropriate.
it's not. There are some where I sit and
There are none. There
I
are
don't know about
not.
this.
Well, no, they're all
Don't start with
good
episode
for
1 of
thinking.
season 1. It was a good thing that we started accidentally the first episode of season 3 because I think if we had seen
You wouldn't
the
have watched.
pilot, I
Yeah.
think we would have just turned it off.
Right.
I couldn't have done it.
Exactly, but it always makes you think. That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to make you think about the what ifs.
it
It
does.
delves into the darker side of the human behavior and
Here's
and
something really cool about technology. Here's what could happen with it if it was abused or
it's like having a
misused.
conversation with Jeff.
Okay.
Anyway,
Speaking of cool technology, Netflix. I've got it up here, so I'm here. So I'm logged in as myself. We're mom and dad, and there it is, Black Mirror. You can see. Continue watching. Okay, so if I push play on something, and we're going to hope that we don't get copyright infringement notices here. I don't have audio on, so I push play and it tells me, whoops, something went wrong. I guess it doesn't work, right? Actually, let's take all of about 10 seconds, and we're going to jump... Oh, holy cow. Could it be that easy? There's a button that says Enable DRM in the top right. I'm going to push it and see what happens. No way.
That was pretty easy.
That was too
Oh.
easy.
wow,
Mickey,
I could do that.
how was that?
Huh.
Out of the box, it did not work with a single mouse click. I was about to show you how to go into preferences and how to turn on DRM. If you don't see that alert, because maybe not everybody's going to have that. I've never seen that before. This is probably new in this version of Firefox. If you go into preferences, and let's see. I'm going to try to remember where you find this. It's supposed to be good to know this stuff. Content. There it is. There it is. Play DRM content. So that's the checkbox if you don't see it under content in preferences. Ah! And it worked just like that.
Or with like Debian 9 stretch, they just give you the button.
Yeah,
You
there's
press
the
it.
button. Well, that's a feature of Firefox.
That was easy.
It's just the default browser that was installed, Firefox ESR. So,
Simple.
done and done.
Look at that.
What else have we got? Thanks, Mickey.
We've got a question from Nicola to Sasha.
Oh,
Oh, yeah?
Says, here's a nice Raspberry Pi music player you might like.
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
It is rpimusicplayer.com. Says good luck with your wedding and have fun.
Thank you. I will.
So
RPI Music Player.
.com. Raspberry Pi Music Player.
Oh, super cool.
Look at that.
This might be just what you were looking for when you want to tinker.
Right.
I love the.
What does it do? What does it do? Yeah. Okay, Raspberry Pi works with even the Pi 2. Small family, blah, blah, blah. What are the features for the product? Come on, tell me. Okay, it's got Rune, it's got MP3, FLAC, DLNA, UPnP, AirPlay, Spotify, Dribble,
Oh, so
Jamendo.
cool. I have Spotify. This is perfect.
With AirPlay, you can like cast this to anything. Sweet.
Oh, I like this.
So hey, that's cool. I haven't played with this one, but there you go. RPI for Raspberry Pi, musicplayer.com. That interface reminds me of something. Does that not look like Volumio?
That does
to you?
look exactly like Volumio.
I wonder if Volumio uses that interface because that's identical. Identical. Nice. Open source, community driven. Here's the hardware. Hey, don't forget you can get your Raspberry Pi hardware through our shop, cat5.tv/pi. And that's a cool way that you can support Category 5 TV, everything that we do here, and all the provision of free broadcasts. Thanks for the tip. Anything else for us?
We have
one more.
We have time for one more.
We're over time. I know.
Okay. Jay Daniels asks, why in the world would anyone suggest a Linux desktop that looks like Windows? GNOME is like a Ferrari or new Porsche compared to those other desktop environments. I'm tired of the same Windows taskbar mess. If you keep many applications and terminal windows open, the old Windows 95 or XP type desktop starts to break down. Navigating some of those menus on a touchpad is sort of tricky too. It worked fine with trackpoint or mouse, but not on those new laptops.
I see. On my touchscreen, I like the interface of like the big buttons and things like that. Even could go as far as saying that single touch to open things makes a little more sense. But on my computer, personally, I'm old school, I know, but I like the way Cinnamon operates because it does feel
familiar?
Windows-esque. Yeah, familiar is really what it's about. But it's the paradigm. That's what I'm used to. That's what I grew up with. That's what I learned on. And so if I'm going to use a GUI at all, I like that. I prefer it. I can find things. I know where they are. So that's me. Why would someone recommend it? Why would someone promote it? And I think that boils down to kind of the exact flip side of that, where we live in a Windows world.
That's right.
It's true.
Plain and simple. Okay? We hate to admit it, us Linux fans, but it's true. Most people, if you ask them what operating system their computer has, they're going to say Microsoft Windows. So because of that, as we're promoting Linux as an alternative to any other operating system and saying this is free, and they say, well, why would I want that? And you can start to share why they might want that, for the freedom, for the application suite, for the fact that it's low cost and it's upgradable and keeps going for them. But the fact is that if the paradigm changes, it's too difficult. Do you remember when 8.1 came out? You remember when Windows 8.1 came out? And Microsoft said, oh, we're going to do away with the start menu and we're going to throw out this stupid Metro crap.
Yep.
What happened? Backlash, right? So if I present to you Linux and I say, try this, you got to try it, it's awesome, and the paradigm is completely different, then I, as a user, or the user that you're trying to promote it to, is going to have a real hard time getting their head around it, and it just makes it uncomfortable and makes them want to go back. So if I can make it feel a little more comfortable for them, then they're more likely to get into it, they're more likely to try it out, learn how it works, and then get to the point where now they're no longer a noob, they're no longer a novice user, they can start playing around and trying the other things.
True.
That's when it gets exciting.
And for myself, from a practical standpoint, my kids, I'm trying to get them into Linux because they've been dealing with Windows through the computers at school. And trying to switch them over from the Windows interface to using Linux, at a young age, they're struggling with that comparison. So, to use a format like that where it looks the same as Windows makes it much easier for my kids to transition. So I can say, hey, look, why don't you use the Linux system? And because there's dual boots on my computer. And so,
Right. Yeah.
So for
and that's
that's the
safer for
reason.
the kids to use that.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
don't have to worry about the malware getting in and destroying their files.
That's exactly it. I mean, our oldest is now getting into more internet-based stuff, and I'm
Sure.
going, use Linux, use Linux, use
Yeah.
Linux. You know, so
Very cool.
for that reason, I like the menu for it.
Yeah, I think that's a good reason. There you go. There's my answer. So thank you very much for the question. Perfectly valid, and we appreciate it. And thank you so much for watching tonight. I hope you had fun. Please do go to our website, category5.tv. Lots of great content there. Also, you will notice if you go to our website and you click onto this episode or any episode for that matter, if you scroll down a little ways, you're going to see individual clips that came out of this episode. So you can actually click on that feature, this feature, or that feature, and it will just play that segment. So then you've got something a little bit smaller that you can share with your
That's
friends.
a handy tool, actually.
It really is, and I love that it's so easy to find now. So yep, that's how you want to do it. It's all the time that we have for this week, though, folks.
There's always next week, though.
There always is. None of us know. None of us know. So just enjoy what we got. And we'll hope to see you next week.
See ya.
Night.